In the next 60 seconds, I'm going to ask you 3 simple questions that will completely reveal whether you're currently living as an owner or a victim in your life. Don't rush to answer, because most people are shocked by their own responses. I'm your name, and over the past X years, I've helped thousands of people transform from victim mentality to owner mentality. Today, I want to share with you this core concept that can change your entire life trajectory. Most of us walk through life unconsciously choosing our identity every single day. You might think you're just reacting to circumstances, but what you're actually doing is reinforcing either a victim identity or an owner identity. The difference between these two isn't just philosophical, it's neurological, and it determines everything from your career success to your relationships to your overall happiness. In this video, you're going to discover the 7 hidden signs of victim identity that most people have 3 to 5 of. You'll learn how owner identity can transform your reality in just 30 days. I'll walk you through a scientifically validated 60-second self-assessment test that will reveal exactly where you stand right now. Then I'll share a 3-step identity transformation method that you can start using immediately. Finally, I'll show you a real case study of someone who went from complete desperation to remarkable success using these exact principles. This isn't your typical motivational content. This is a practical identity reshaping system based on psychological research. Let me start by exposing the hidden traps that keep people stuck in victim identity. Victim identity isn't about being weak or broken. It's about where your brain automatically looks for explanations when things happen in your life. In psychology, we call this attribution theory. People with victim identity have what's called an external locus of control. They believe that external forces control their outcomes. People with owner identity have an internal locus of control. They believe their actions and decisions primarily determine their results. Here's what's fascinating. Your brain is actually wired to default toward victim thinking. From an evolutionary psychology perspective, our ancestors who constantly scanned for threats and assumed the worst were more likely to survive. But in today's world, this same mental programming keeps us trapped in patterns that limit our potential. Let me share the 7 hidden signs of victim identity as I go through these. Be honest with yourself about which ones you recognize. First, you frequently use excuses that start with "but." I would start my business, but I don't have enough money. I would apply for that job, but I don't have the right experience. The word "but" immediately shifts responsibility away from you. Second, you feel that other people's success is somehow unfair. When you see someone achieving what you want, your first thought is about what advantages they had that you don't have. Third, you wait for external conditions to change before taking action. You're waiting for the perfect time, the right opportunity, or for someone else to give you permission. Fourth, you habitually complain without looking for solutions. Complaining feels good because it validates your victim identity, but it keeps you stuck in the problem rather than moving towards solutions. Fifth, you believe successful people are just lucky. This protects your ego, because if success is just luck, then your lack of success isn't your fault. Sixth, you spend excessive mental energy focused on past hurts and injustices. While it's important to process difficult experiences, victim identity gets stuck, replaying them instead of using them as fuel for growth. Seventh, you feel like you don't have choices. The phrase "I have no choice" is the anthem of victim identity. In the comments below, tell me honestly, how many of these 7 signs did you recognize in yourself? Being honest about this is the first step toward transformation. Now let me show you what owner identity looks like and why it creates such dramatically different results. Owner identity is characterized by what psychologists call an internal locus of control. When something happens, your first question isn't, "Why is this happening to me?" but rather, How can I respond to this in a way that moves me forward? Neuroscience research shows that people with owner identity have different patterns of brain activation. When faced with challenges, their prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for executive decision-making, shows increased activity. People with victim identity show more activation in the limbic system, the emotional, reactive part of the brain. Let me show you how this plays out in real life in career development. Victim identity waits for opportunities to appear. Owner identity creates opportunities through networking, skill development, and strategic positioning. In relationships, victim identity passively accepts poor treatment or becomes resentful. Owner identity establishes clear boundaries and communicates needs directly. In financial matters, victim identity focuses on consumption and immediate gratification. Owner identity thinks in terms of investment and delayed gratification. In health management, victim identity waits until problems develop, then looks for quick fixes. Owner identity focuses on prevention and sustainable lifestyle changes. Let me share a real example. I worked with someone I'll call Sarah, who came to me completely stuck in victim identity. She'd been passed over for promotion 3 times, was in a relationship where she felt unappreciated, and was struggling financially despite having a decent income. Her first response to every setback was to explain why it wasn't her fault and why she couldn't do anything about it. Through the process I'm about to teach you, Sarah transformed her identity over 6 months. She got promoted within 4 months of starting this work, ended the unhealthy relationship, and found a partner who valued her and increased her savings rate from 0 to 20% of her income. The external circumstances didn't magically change. Sarah changed how she showed up in those circumstances. Now it's time for your 60-second identity assessment. This test is based on attribution theory and locus of control research. I want you to pause the video after I give you the 3 questions, answer them honestly, then come back for your analysis. Here are your 3 questions. First, when you recently faced a setback or disappointment, what was your very first reaction? Option A. I analyzed what I could learn from this experience and how to improve next time. Option B. I thought about why these kinds of things always seem to happen to me. Second question. When you see someone else succeeding in an area where you want success, what do you typically think? Option A. I wonder what strategies they're using that I could learn from. Option B. They must have advantages or background that I don't have. Third question. When you need to make an important decision, what do you primarily focus on? Option A. What results I want to create and how to achieve them. Option B. What risks I want to avoid or what criticism I might face. Pause the video now and answer these 3 questions. Honestly, don't overthink them. Go with your first instinct. Welcome back. If you chose mostly A answers, you're already operating from owner identity most of the time. Your challenge is to strengthen this identity and apply it more consistently across all areas of your life. If you chose mostly B answers, you're currently operating from victim identity. But here's the good news. Identity is completely changeable with the right approach. If you had a mix of A and B answers, you're in transition. You have owner identity in some areas of your life, but victim identity in others. This is actually very common and shows you already have the neural pathways for owner identity. You just need to strengthen them. Now let me teach you the 3-step transformation method that will shift you from victim to owner identity. Step 1 is awareness shift. You need to develop what I call identity checking, the habit of catching yourself in victim thinking patterns and consciously shifting to owner thinking. Start by identifying your personal triggers, the situations that automatically activate victim identity for you. Maybe it's when you're criticized, when you face rejection, or when you compare yourself to others. Once you know your triggers, you can use the pause and reframe technique. When you notice victim thinking starting, literally, pause and ask yourself, how would someone with owner identity view this situation? Step 2 is language reframing. The words you use literally reshape your brain through neuroplasticity. Start replacing limiting language with ownership language. Instead of "I have to," say "I choose to." Instead of "this always happens to me," ask, "What can I learn from this experience?" Instead of "if only I had," ask, "How will I create this result?" This isn't just positive thinking, it's rewiring your brain to look for solutions and opportunities instead of problems and obstacles. Every time you use ownership language, you're strengthening the neural pathways associated with owner identity. Step 3 is action experimentation. Identity isn't just how you think, it's how you act. Choose one small area of your life where you can immediately start practicing owner identity. Maybe it's taking full responsibility for your morning routine, or proactively addressing a relationship issue you've been avoiding, or learning one new skill that could advance your career. The key is to start small, but be consistent. Set a 30-day challenge for yourself and track your progress. Each time you choose an owner response instead of a victim response, you're literally changing your brain structure. Let me give you a detailed case study of how this works in practice. I mentioned Sarah earlier. Let me tell you her complete story. Sarah came to me after her third rejection for promotion. She was convinced her boss had it out for her, that office politics were rigged against her, and that she'd never get ahead because she wasn't good at playing the game. In Step 1, Awareness Shift, we identified that Sarah's trigger was any form of criticism or feedback. Her automatic response was to get defensive and mentally list all the reasons why the feedback was unfair. We practiced the pause and reframe technique until she could catch herself in this pattern. In Step 2, Language Reframing, Sarah realized she was constantly using victim language. "I can't get promoted because my boss doesn't like me," became "what skills can I develop to become undeniably promotable?" "The system is rigged" became "how can I understand and work effectively within this system?" In Step 3, Action Experimentation, Sarah chose to focus on proactively seeking feedback and acting on it immediately. Instead of waiting for her annual review, she scheduled monthly check-ins with her boss. Instead of avoiding challenging projects, she volunteered for them. Instead of complaining about office politics, she studied how successful people in her company built relationships and influence. The results were remarkable. Within 2 months, her boss noticed the change in her attitude and performance. Within 4 months, she was promoted. But here's what's even more important: Sarah's entire relationship with challenges changed. She stopped seeing obstacles as evidence that the world was against her and started seeing them as puzzles to solve. The biggest challenge Sarah faced during this transformation was what I call the victim identity withdrawal. When you've been operating from victim identity for years, it becomes comfortable. It protects you from the responsibility of trying and potentially failing. Owner identity requires courage because it means acknowledging that you have the power to change your results, which also means you're responsible for your current results. Sarah had to work through feelings of guilt about all the time she'd wasted in victim thinking and fear about whether she was really capable of creating the results she wanted. This is normal and temporary. Every person I've worked with has gone through this transition period. Let me summarize the key points we've covered today. Your identity, whether you operate as a victim or an owner, is the single most important factor in determining your life trajectory. Victim identity focuses on external attribution, waiting for circumstances to change, and protecting the ego from responsibility. Owner identity focuses on internal attribution, taking action despite circumstances, and embracing responsibility as power. The transformation from victim to owner identity is absolutely possible, but it requires deliberate practice. Your brain has spent years reinforcing one pattern, and it takes consistent effort to create new neural pathways. The three-step method, awareness shift, language reframing, and action experimentation, gives you a practical system for making this change. Start small, but start today. Choose one area of your life where you can immediately begin practicing owner identity. It might feel uncomfortable at first, but that discomfort is actually a sign that you're growing and changing. Here's what I want you to do right now. In the comments below, share with our community, in which area of your life are you ready to start practicing owner identity first? Will it be your career, your relationships, your health, or your finances? And tell us, what was your biggest insight from the identity test we did together? I love seeing the community support each other through these transformations, so make sure to read other people's comments and offer encouragement. We're all on this journey together. If this concept of identity transformation resonated with you, make sure to subscribe to this channel. I share psychology-backed personal development content every week, and I have upcoming videos on building unshakable habits, developing mental resilience, and creating breakthrough moments in your life. I'll put links to related videos in the description, including my deep dive into the neuroscience of habit formation and my complete guide to building psychological resilience. These will give you even more tools for strengthening your owner identity. Remember this, your identity isn't fixed. It's shaped by the choices you make every single day. The transformation from victim to owner begins with the very first action you take after you close this video. You have the power to choose who you become, and that choice starts right now. The question isn't whether you can change, the question is whether you will. I believe in your ability to transform, and I can't wait to hear about the amazing results you create when you step fully into your owner identity. Now go make it happen.